Welcome back to the Merit Partners Advisory Series, where we sit down and talk about the trends that are going on. We talk about some new cars and conversations we're having with our clients. I'm joined here with Bert and Jonathan. This is it's been a busy day, so this is like the first time I'm actually sitting down with you guys and having a conversation. So
I'm liking the new space. We're swapping it up in the building. We're up top now, so we've showcased being outside in the warehouse, down in our cafe area. Yeah. We got parked over here doing paperwork. I mean, it's a busy day.
It is a busy day.
It's a lot going on.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I've always been asking me what it looks like up there, with me being the tallest one. This is what I live every day. Just seeing the tops of the cars.
Well, this is your ivory tower up here that you like to just
there it is.
Work from and look down at all of us. So.
Well, yeah. It's good to see
Thank you
where
for
y'all
inviting
are.
us up here.
It's good to see where y'all are.
Yeah.
It's a tough work environment here.
So we've talked in the past about the trends that we believe in and see. We've talked a lot about 90s and 2000s cars. So I want to start with the question, has anything changed? Are we still sitting there heavily? What are you guys seeing out there right now because the dust is kind of settled now from Car Week, the auction results there. And now have buying habits moved? Have they changed? Are they still where they were 6 months ago?
Well, I guess I'll speak first and say, since we did the last update, I think it's good to get a sense of where the market is every few months. You look at the market every 6 months, it changes a lot. We see cars going down substantially in value, so we see other pockets of cars going up in value, and then you have outside external factors like the election results that we just are kind of in the middle of right now. What's that going to do? New party moving in, what's that going to mean for car prices and the overall economy, which cars are obviously affected by. So I think that today, for the purpose of what we're going to do today, is sort of provide an update as to has anything changed from the narrative that we had put forth a few months back as we talked about some of these cars. One, overall in the macro sense, and then secondly, maybe some specific things that may have changed or feedback we've gotten from our clients or trends that we see developing around that.
That's right.
You nailed it. I mean, I think the question is, where's the market heading, right? That's what everybody kind of wants to understand and know, and we always want to be able to give some indicators that we're having. One thing I really enjoy doing is just all the phone calls that we get to have conversations with our clients. They're asking questions. Where's the market going? Where should I be? And I think that's what this conversation is predicated upon, and I think it's juxtaposing the new cars, right? We've seen a lot of new cars released, a lot of new car announcements released with the 90s and 2000s cars, and also we've been getting in some of the new cars. You got in the ST most recently. So what is it like to drive some of these new cars? We wanted to talk about not just I think the overall economics of it, but also what the cars are like, how they are to use, right? What it's like to maintain them. I just got a phone call a minute ago. The guy was just talking about his SF90 and just the hybrid system and the issue it's giving with its batteries, and it's spending more time in the shop. And he's like, what do I do? I mean, I keep getting the new car every single time. Should I continue down this path, or should I go a different way? So I think those are some of the conversations we want to have today.
I just had a conversation with a client of mine who got a Revuelto, and some time had passed, a couple months since his delivery, and I shot him a text and asked him how the car was.
Sure.
And one thing he said was, it's the worst car that I've ever had delivered to me, not because of its performance and what it does, but because it's been in the shop already 4 times and he's had the car for 2 months.
There you go.
So those are the things that are fascinating to hear out in the market right now that you're not getting with 911Rs and GT2s from 2008. You're not getting that same thing.
Well, it's just good to get good experience, share the experiences that our clients are having with the ownership of the cars, right? And what we're hearing and the feedback that we're getting.
That's right.
That's part of the update. That's part of the update is now that clients are getting the cars in their hands, what's been their experience? We came up with some ideas about how we thought it was going to be and what it was going to look like, but until you actually experience the cars, you can't know for sure. Yeah. So I think it's great to hear some of those anecdotal stories about the cars, to talk to clients, and then actually drive the cars ourselves so that we can give a truly vetted opinion and not one that's just hearsay or third party. Because we want to be advisors, and in being advisors, we need to understand macroeconomic trends, macro car kind of trends, and also the specifics as relate to our 5-fold criteria in terms of what we look for with cars. And you guys just mentioned some of the serviceability issues with the cars.
Yeah.
If you're having to service the car all the time, then that affects the usability of the car. So you're already affecting two criterias of that, and then that goes on to affect the driving experience and everything else. So you now got 3 of those areas affected by having a car in a shop like that. And now that client is really disappointed, and his driving experience is tainted, and it's hard to get that back. I mean, cars are like people. It's hard to get the second chance to make that first impression. And so if your first impression is locked in, it's hard to go back and say, okay, I got to fall back in love with a car. Once you've fallen out of love with it, it's hard to fall back in love with it.
That's right. So
let me go and get this out real quick.
Go ahead.
So not interrupt you, but from the usability standpoint, was Tuesday, looked out at my Carrera GT with the tops off and went right out to it, fired it right up, drove it to the deli, had a sandwich, noticed it was starting to rain and mist, so got back in the car pretty quickly, didn't have the tops on the car, and drove it back. I mean, look, if that's the worst, I mean, that's living life right there, right? I mean, if that's, the worst thing you're gonna do is get some light mist rain on you.
I mean, as long as you go fast enough, it just goes over the roof, right?
It does go over. It actually comes down the windows. It kind of comes down the windows and then in. If you're curious about,
and
how
a lot of
that,
people don't know about a lot of people don't know about that experience, but you do. See, by driving the cars, you get a properly vetted experience that you can pass along to a potential client.
And as long as you keep your Carrera GT plugged up to a charger, it'll crank, right?
There it
no
is.
hybrid, no battery, no issues. Right?
That's right.
No front axle lift, but we're okay.
Yeah, it works.
That's right.
It is an A to B car. It's not just an A to A car. Anyway, so now that I got the Carrera GT thing out of the way, so I don't have to bring it up again on this podcast because I have to sneak it in. It's kind of like Where's Waldo. I've already
got it out in the beginning.
It
Thank
is
goodness.
true. He
Thank
has
goodness.
been driving it. We've been watching. The car's just been showing up in. I think it was in my parking space. You're parking in. But
I was parking in your parking
it's
spot.
okay.
Yeah,
It's okay. Your car's better
I've
than
got my
car.
son and my daughter
Okay,
shifting.
all right.
Okay.
So one thing we talk a lot about is 3, 5, 10, right? The strategy behind 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What are you guys seeing now? We're in November, so Q4 of 2024. Goodness gracious. What are you guys seeing heading into 2025? Are there any specific opportunities that you're viewing that have changed, that may have popped up in the last 6 months to this year, moving into 2025?
Well, I'll speak first and let me go back and say this. So our view has always been we try to focus on cars from like the 1990 to 2017 kind of time frame, because that's where we feel like it best meets that criteria that we talk about, and then also it seems to be that sweet spot where you get the driving experience, the investment, the collectability, all those different things. Now the idea has been, and we've talked about this a lot, and that has been on the new cars, they're delivering a more synthetic experience. They're making more of them. They're not numbered. They're less reliable. They're less usable. Different things like that. So one is, does that continue to be true? From the last time we talked about this, does that continue to be true, or are the new cars that have come out, like the F80, the Ferrari F80, the ST, are they actually doing something different? Maybe we were wrong. Maybe they are delivering a better experience than we thought, or lower numbers than we thought, or going against some of the trends that we saw. But I would say, sadly, and I say this from a driver perspective and for what I enjoy, and I know we all enjoy together, is that no, that trend is only accelerating in terms of exactly what we thought would happen with the modern cars is really doing the same thing. Since we last talked, you've had the STs hitting the ground, the new GT3 has been announced, the new 992.2 has been announced, the Ferrari F80 has been announced, and we all have seen what those cars have on them and what they're representing. I mean, it's talking about, it's less manuals, it's more hybrid, it's less naturally aspirated, it's more numbers produced, all the things that kind of go against what we see as what are the most favorable and enjoyable cars to be involved in and to want to invest in and see potential appreciation.
And you've experienced the ST now.
I have.
So if you were going against that, you would say that here, and you'd say I was wrong. The ST is a very special car.
Right. Look, the ST is a really cool car.
Yeah.
And having a chance to drive that and experience it, my thought was going to be, it was going to be a little bit better version of a GT3 Touring. Not something altogether transcendent and that's going to be some unforgettable market maker, different type driver car, but something like a more evolved version of a GT3 Touring.
Sure.
And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's a more evolved version. It features, I mean, yes, it offers a more emotive experience, more, some of those things, but it's not measurably more. Power's really about the same. Looks are a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah,
so it does have some things that are really cool about it, but it's not breaking those trends that we talk about, because it's largely moving that modern car forward and becoming, I guess, it sort of talks about some of those things that we continue to be a little bit disappointed in, and that is cars are getting bigger, they're making more of them, all that. So that's the part I guess I would have enjoyed seeing a car that was a little bit more stripped out than it was, made in smaller numbers. And now what happened was Porsche went and took some of the ST features that made it so cool, and then made it just standard on the new GT3.
Yeah.
So you're actually diluting the value of the ST with the new GT3. And that's a little disappointing, because now you've taken the driving experience and the things that I thought were a little bit unique and different about the ST, and you're going to get those in the GT3. So if I'm an ST owner, I'm a little bit disappointed in that.
Absolutely.
That maybe those can't be reserved for my special car, my ST car that I waited so long, that I told the dealer I'd never sell,
that you
and that I had to buy everything to get to that car and get this special place, and now the new GT3 is going to have a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the conversations I'm having on the Ferrari side too, of examination of clients who are now top clients. You got top clients, you got VIP clients that are calling and asking, say, hey, is this worth it, right? Is it worth it continue down this path of, should I keep buying the next thing and the next thing, right? Or should I just really buy what I love? And that's where most of the discussions are. And the same with the ST. It's like you've had to have purchased a lot of different ones, and we also see ADMs coming down dramatically, right? And also I will point out from a market standpoint, from an economic market standpoint, is, and I know you touch on the driver thing, which I love, the driver difference between an ST and an i11R or something like that, but is those ADMs are just, they're just coming down. I mean, that's just the fact of it. We're seeing it. We're seeing it. Pull back, and it's sort of normalized, and which is great. I think that's for health. It's great. It's a great healthy market. Or the manufacturers are building it into their prices. You can look at the price of a 911R, 212 MSRP versus what is ST 350. Some of these MSRP numbers are jumping really, really big over a 10-year spread. LaFerrari was what, 1.2. Now it's, once you option it out, over $5.5 million. I mean, it's a 4x jump in 10 years. And I think that we're just seeing those ADMs really dealer markups really pull back.
Well, it's a great point, Jonathan, because there's a significant jump in pricing, and you would think that should reflect a commensurate driving experience and investment potential to go along with that. But the opposite is actually true. Yeah. They're making more cars. The driving experience is not different. In some cases, it's even worse than the predecessor was. And so from that, you would look at it and say, I mean, the trend is manufacturers right now are coming out with cars that are very expensive. They have a little height premium with them, and then from that premium, they will rapidly then begin to descend and come back and largely move backwards from there, back towards their original MSRPs. Yeah. I mean, I look at like the F80, which is really unique, because all the most recent that we've been around the last 10 or 15 years, the special Ferraris have come out, they've immediately been over double MSRP when they've come out. I mean, that's been the premium on those. And you look at the F80, and you're already starting at a price point of around $4 million, optioned up, $5.5 million. How high is that car going to go?
It can't be an $8 to $10 million car.
No, it's not going to be an $10 million car. It's actually going to retreat from there, because now the numbers are higher, and all the components aren't there that reflect really what true investors want to be in over the next 3, 5, and 10 years and beyond. And so
your basis may be $8.5 million.
Yeah.
If you add up all the other things,
all the other cars, and
I think that's one point to make, right? And this is that you've got really a stabilized market, right, in the 90s and 2000s cars, and then you've got a known market, a known entity, because there's there's continual things, that data points that we know. We have data points, on these cars. We know what they've sold. We know what the TDFs have sold for. We know what 4Os have sold with CGTs. But we're struggling as well in chasing down ADMs, right? And how fast it's pulling back. That's a struggle of ours as advisors and as people that also own these cars, and what to do with that. So I think that's the point to make, is you've got a really stable market and you've got sort of an unknown market that's pulling back, and that people are kind of questioning and asking, is it worth it?
Yeah. The irony is that what we're seeing is there's a lot more volatility in the new car than there is in the outgoing car. Yeah. I mean, you think about even like the 992.1 GT3. We've been around that. We've kind of understand it now, kind of where pricing is, and it's sort of locked in. It's a little bit predictable. Yeah. With the new one, we don't know where that's going to be, and the prices have jumped way up. As far as the original MSRPs, they're probably going to sell at some premium over MSRP. So if you're buying that car, you don't really know what you got. You don't really know what the true worth of that car is. I think you need about what I'm seeing is, I think you need about 2 years before you really understand the car and what it's going to do and how it's going to settle out. That's right. Because if you jump in it a year in, especially if you buy it not at MSRP, but you buy it over MSRP at a premium, you don't know where it's going to stop. Is it going to stop at, let's say you bought it at 200 over sticker, does it stop at 150 over sticker, 100 over sticker? Does it stop at MSRP? You don't know where it's going to stop.
Such a large ceiling to come down.
It is.
Such a large ceiling.
So it's really scary. So to me, unless you're convinced you want to own that car and you know what you're getting, you have to be really careful in terms of a buyer in that. And none of that really occurs. We have much less of that volatility as we look back, because all those cars have been vetted. They've gone through different market cycles. We have a large collection of data points that we can look back at and see highs and lows and support points. Also, the number of quality cars is less and less. So it's much more predictable, and it's much easier to make some projections about what that car's going to do in future value because of that. Yeah.
Let me just say this too. We painted this picture before when we talked to our collectors. They have different buckets. Some people have investment buckets, right? Some people have driver or experience buckets. Some people have their supercar, kind of hypercar, supercar bucket. They have their classics, and then they have their drivers, right? There's different ways that people think about their collection.
And some of them overlap.
And some of them overlap, but that's what a lot of the discussions we have. Okay, which bucket is this going to fall in? And very well, a GT3, a new GT3 or a new ST could fall in somebody's driver bucket. Just a very drivable car, that they want, that they can drive to the supermarket. I mean, it's 0 to 60 really, really fast. The experience to get to 60 miles per hour is obviously down versus something that we're really, passionate about from the 90s and 2000s. But all I'm saying is there's a case for it. However, I would say if there's a soundbite or a snippet from this, I think from the new cars to the 90s, 2000s, I think driving experience is down, and the experience of ownership, by the way, is down, whether that's maintenance or even just the experience that you're getting on buying a new car. It used to be just very much a pleasurable thing, I would say, right? You kind of earn it. That was the Ferrari model. You earn it, you pay, but you earn it over time. That experience is down. So experience down and price of the car is up. I think, anyway, that's my opinion of the hypothesis of experience down, price up for modern cars.
To me, that's...
And driving the other market up. Sorry, and what it does is it drives the 90s and 2000s market up. It pulls, that's a large part. Not only are those cars more limited and more numbered, but it's pulling those cars up with it, which is a known market.
And to me, that's the impact of the McLaren W1 coming out, the F80 coming out. It's not, how does it look? What do you think about it? The V6, all that. I mean, that stuff's important, and we can share that with you guys if you want what our thoughts are on that. But to me, what we're talking about right here, that's the impact of what those cars are, is that an F80 is $5 million from day one. I don't see how you can go up from there within the first 10 years of owning that car. Could be wrong.
What about the new GT3 with the Wysock pack optioned out? It's probably going to be around 400 grand. Yeah. 400 grand
for a GT3.
That they didn't really even change the engine on.
I'd rather have a 997. Bert told me not to say anything about specific models. I snug it in there.
But I mean, you when you look back and you make the case for a 997, a 3.8 RS, something like that, I mean, to me, there's no comparison.
No comparison.
In what you're going to
No.
get and what you're going to
In
experience in
experience.
terms of an upward trend.
Yeah.
So
Totally agree.
yeah,
Totally agree.
it becomes, and look, to Jonathan's point, we're not talking to a specific person now, so we're talking about kind of some generalities on investments in drivers and all that. We don't know, we're just talking about in general.
Yeah.
But I can tell you specifically what all our clients look for from us is they look for us to be advisors to them. And that means they want us to know what the car is, how it drives, what it feels like, what's going to be an idea of what my value is going to be. If I do some certain things to the car, like paint to sample or this, am I going to get the value out of it? They want that kind of advice so they can make good informed buying decisions. And or if they want to sell, so they can make selling decisions. So they're counting on us to be able to do that. And then to be able to compare that to other cars that maybe are in the past and say, what do I get out of this? And say, and give them a comparison. And that's what we do. And that's why these cars are here. And if you come by Merritt and you see the cars that we have here, which a lot of the cars that we have here aren't on our website,
Right.
you get a chance to experience some of those, see some of those, and know what they're about, and see why they're the special cars that we talk about them being.
Right. So I want to finish with something fun. Your opinion on the Enzo Ferrari. It is my, I shouldn't say childhood, more like teenage dream car that I used to just fawn over, and now we have two here currently. So now that we've had them here, this is our first Enzos we've ever had at Merritt.
First, a small correction. This being your favorite car, I'm surprised you just said Enzo Ferrari. You should have just said Enzo. Everybody knows what you're talking about.
I have to be politically correct. I apologize.
Come on. It's an Enzo. Yeah, you know.
It's an Enzo Ferrari.
That is correct. We could argue the semantics later.
So what's y'all's opinion on it? First off, have either of you gotten behind the wheel of one yet? Can you fit in the Enzo?
I can fit. I can
Okay.
fit, and that is something I'm going to be doing this week. I'll
Okay.
be getting behind the wheel, and so I'll have a.
We'll have to do a prompt follow-up episode.
We
where-
will.
yeah.
We will. I mean, I won't even comment on the potential of that idea and what it is, but
Okay.
that would be something I'd get into in a more specific conversation in talking with someone. But I will say that I think that I was having a conversation with a client of mine yesterday, and it was so, I mean, this will tell you everything. So he walked in the shop, and we have some great cars here, 19s and P1s and 935s and all that. And he walked in the shop, and he noticed the car immediately. We talked about it. We went over some things, and I said, well, just to give you an idea about how special the Enzo is, and why that is such a great car to consider for long-term investment, short and long-term investment. What did you notice the other cars that were in the showroom when you walked in and saw the Enzo? And he said, candidly, I didn't even see the 918. I didn't even see the other cars. All
The
I saw
P1.
was the Enzo. The P1. I mean, he walked past them,
Yeah.
but he didn't really even notice them.
I love that.
And so I'll tell you, that speaks to
Yeah.
the design of what that car is, and what the allure. You're talking about the some of your favorite cars, but the allure of that car, well beyond just the driving experience. It's just the way the car sits and the way it looks. It commands just this. It has an unmistakable appeal to it that hits both the new car guy just coming into the market, the guy who's been around a long time, and everywhere in between. It just appeals to everyone. And so I think that's one of those clues as to say, hey, they got that design right. And you compare that to something like the
Totally
new
agree.
F80
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
very controversial in terms of the design and how they piece it together. It looks like a modular car
Yes.
to me.
Yes.
So that's a quick
So
opinion of the Enzo.
I too, but both of us we've had a lot going on, right? And we've just had two Enzos come through the shop, and one that we've sold, and so we've had a lot going on. But I love it so much that I've been using it as my office, which I think you guys have recognized, which is hilarious. I've been taking calls from inside the Enzo, just because it prompts creativity, but you also get to know the car.
Yeah.
I think
most expensive square footage in the world.
I think stylistically, though, so look, I absolutely love the F50. I have enjoyed driving it. I love that V12 right to your back and the sound and the naturally aspirated. There's a lot that car, but stylistically, the F50 was kind of skipped over. People don't really like it. I think it's gorgeous, but people love the 40. The Enzo really resonates with people. I think when they see it, they're like, oh my gosh, this is just, it's a gorgeous car. It has a presence. I think of the big five, it has a lot of upward movement, that or the 288 GTO towards 10 million bucks, pretty, depending which one you think's gonna go first. But I think those cars have a great capacity, 399 of them. And so we'll be taking the car out here shortly, and I think you got to be really driving it hard. It wants to be driven hard, doesn't want to be driven at slow speeds. And we'll see. I followed in my Courage T. We had a client come by that ultimately purchased one, and I was following him in my Courage T, and it sounded great and even smelled even better. And I think that's the thing that we love, right? We love the sound, we love the smells. When you really get on it, I mean, I could smell it out of that. I was like, oh my gosh. And I think Cody, you were in the car with me. That was a great moment. But we will get out. I've kind of been waiting for a special moment to go out and drive it and give our thoughts on the driving
or
experience.
we even do a in-car video.
Well,
Cody's like, I already got that plan in the works.
Evan and I will take it out and drive it hard, and then you can go get sandwiches in it later
at the deli.
There you go, guys.
Your CGT.
There you
hopefully it won't rain.
It's the sandwich.
I have a thing for an open top car. I mean, that's
that's the appeal of the F50.
Hey, before we wind up too, but Jonathan, I thought you had a great.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say about. So I was in the car. I was inside the Enzo, and I was talking to. This just came up. I was just talking.
Really, I think so communicates some of the things that are going on, and real conversations and real life examples of how dollars should be best invested and the consideration of them when you're looking at these cars.
Look, he thinks like us, and I say there are certain people that we really resonate with, that sit well with us as clients. This is a friend, a client, somebody that I really respect, that I even get his opinions as well. But we were talking about the F80 in summation. He was there in Italy. The wining dining experience was fantastic. He was talking to them, and he was just openly saying, it's a $4 million plus car, like what I said earlier, plus options. It's a $5.5 million car. There's a $400,000 immediate deposit now, then followed by another 600 plus grand. So you're $1 million locked up into the car for 2 years, however long it takes. Plus you've got to stay top VIP, and I didn't understand all this, but you got to stay top VIP client for the period of while you're getting one of these 799 cars.
Right.
So you've got to buy every car there, the cylindry and then the cylindry copy. You got to go through all these cars and spend a bunch more money. Is the point, right? And so your basis could be $6.5–7 million at that time of just even cars you're going to lose money on. And I think him and I were just ruminating on, should I have one F80 for $6 million or $6.5 or $7 million, or what could I have for $6.5 million? And I have my own opinions on that, but I think that was the conversation, was what kind of package could I put together that would, and there's a lot you can do in that. And I think those are the conversations we enjoy having. That was his direct feedback. He was very cognizant of that. I hope that's okay that I'm sharing that. I'll have to talk to him about that. But that was the discussion, and we both kind of took away from that there are options out there.
Yeah, and I think the takeaway for me from that was, if you're thinking it's because I want that car to be an appreciating asset, if you're just going on the appreciation aspect of it, how much upward mobility do you have at $6.5 million?
Your basis in the car.
I mean,
right.
Or could you just put it in a money market account earning 4% and do better?
You should buy some Ferrari stock, and then you should buy 1 or 2 or 3 cars that you really drive or that you can enjoy that are maybe sub $2 million, that are really great options that are going to give you a similar experience.
There you go. If you're truly just looking at the investment aspect of it, and is it going to be the next whatever car? So it's an important consideration. These are the conversations we're having with clients as we're advising them and talking about this, because it's about taking their money they've worked so hard for and how to deploy it in the wisest possible way, and also get from them the things that they're driving at, whether it be the driving experience or the investment or or something they can pass down to the kids, or something they can use every day, or go take to the sandwich shop, or whatever it may be. We want to make sure we're hitting that and we're doing it well.
It feels like we're at a tipping point, though, because of that, because the price
Absolutely.
4x so much between the
Absolutely.
LaFerrari that people are really starting to question this, and I think we're on the front end of questioning this.
Yes.
And I think these are great, healthy conversations to be having.
Yeah.
And like you said, Bert, it's all about relationships and advising and giving proper advice. And these conversations we're having, I'm having 3 or 4 every day, right? An hour-long conversation, like just talking to people about this stuff. So it's great that we're able to just share some of this and put it out there, and invite people to contact us and reach out and just say if you have anything that you want to discuss in your portfolio, or to come spend time with us in our advisor room, or come here and experience the drivability of some of these cars, which in the last month or so we've had 3 or 4 visitors come really look at a couple different cars with us in a very serious way. That's there.
Well, look, that's why we sit down and take time out of our day to do this, is because we want to share this information with you guys. So hope this was helpful. Hope you enjoyed it. Please reach out to us if you guys have any questions about what we're talking about here, or any of the things that we do. Our phone number is obviously on our website. Feel free to leave a comment below, and we'd love to get back with you. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next one, hopefully maybe with these two in an Enzo Ferrari. See you guys next time.
That'll be something to look forward to. Thank you.